things that I'm most passionate about today is understanding what are the obligations and the consequences to the different parties involved. So let me show you what I mean. Organizations, right? We have organizations like Equifax, or this week it was Deloitte, right? We have organizations that have lost data or been hacked into or built a device, right, that was weak. We have to ask the question, what's the obligation of these organizations? And then what are the consequences to them when they make mistakes? And we have to ask in every one of these bullet points, what are the laws that we need to get put in place? Tell you, one of the things right now that's hurting us, I think, the most in the security space, in my opinion, is we have very little law that is specific to cybersecurity. So what we're trying to do is shoehorn crimes done in cybersecurity into old laws. Now, when I told you that I believe there's Mafia 2.0, the way that we really crippled Mafia 1.0, which a lot of you know, was we built the RICO statutes. And once we put the RICO statutes in place, we had the tools to be able to cripple the bad guys. All right? But we don't have the same equivalent in cyber right now. We do not have the same equivalent of RICO that's tuned to the cyber world. So then we look at governments. Like, what are the obligations and the consequences to governments? So if we just look at the U.S. government, what is their obligation to put better laws in place? What are the consequences when 100,000 names get stolen from the IRS? One of the things I find very interesting is AT&T is one of the most attacked companies in the world. Most attacked companies. There was a time a couple years ago, AT&T had some records stolen, and the FCC fined AT&T $25 million. Now, at the same time that the FCC was fining AT&T $25 million, the U.S. government had two different organizations or departments that were hacked into that lost way more records than AT&T. And my question was, well, who's fining the U.S. government then? Because magically they didn't get fined. Right? So let's go on. Inventors and builders. Right? The people who invent and construct technology that we depend on, what are their obligations and what are their consequences when things don't go right? Or the leaders of organizations. Right now, you might have noticed at Equifax, both the CIO and the CISO both got fired. Right? But I'm curious about what are the obligations and what are the consequences that we should be looking at for leaders. Yeah, and the CEO's gone too? Yeah, an hour ago. Cool. Yeah, but you wonder what will be the practice from now on, right, for leaders. And then finally, the public. You know, how long is it going to be before there's a copay when somebody's credit card gets stolen and $3,000 gets charged on your card? How long until there's a 20% copay so that the person who gets, the credit card got stolen has to pay? Because right now there's no penalty when somebody's credit card information gets stolen, which means people don't care if they stick their credit card in a skimmer. Most people don't even know what skimmers are out in the public. And they don't need to know what a skimmer is because they're not having to pay. There's no consequences. Right, so I think in the future, if we're going to make things better, set aside all the technology improvements, we're going to have to get a much better model put in place for this, right? What are the obligations and consequences for all of these parties? I love this quote, and I just want to end on this, right? You're free to choose, but you're not free to alter the consequences of your decisions. We are going to continue to invent fantastic things in technology. We have got to get a little bit smarter about being able to predict what the collateral damage is or what it is that the criminal element is going to do with each of these technologies. We need to stop being so surprised at the science fiction-like hacks that are going on. You know, I saw the Maersk, if you saw the latest hack at Maersk, where somebody hijacked their accounting system and sent out invoices with wiring information that was actually to the criminals' accounts. It was a brilliant piece of strategy, I thought, hijacking the accounting system. We shouldn't be surprised from now on. And I think in the security space, we just have to get a little bit more forward thinking, a little bit more high beam of understanding every time new technologies come out, how they're going to be penetrated, and be proactive instead of just constantly being on the defensive, which is what we are today.